The League of the Genuine Conversations with me, Fred Mwema, is back. Every Friday, we have a date to discuss the important but often ignored subject of counterfeits. This time round, we are taking the debate, the discussion in the animal world. I know that we human beings are the ones who sell and buy counterfeits. Today, we want to find out if man's best friend, the dog, has something to say about counterfeits. And we have none other than Mr. Solomon Byakutaga Mugisa, a member of the newly formed Uganda Canine Association. Here with us, Solomon, you are welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Fred.
A dog lover, enthusiast, and forensic analyst.
Yes, sir.
That combination is way worlds apart. How do you manage to carry those two? Or the other one is a hobby or something?
Thank you, Fred. As a forensic analyst by profession, that is my bread and butter. As a canine enthusiast, a promoter, this is not just a hobby, but as you did mention, this is man's best friend. I would wish for everyone to learn how to live with man's best friend and understand what it takes to live with canines.
So what influenced you to love dogs? You would have loved cats, so you know some people love their cows. You, why dogs?
I would say it is out of love for nature. And I've grown around nature throughout my life. It's just that we're fortunate enough in the in the 90s, growing around Kololo and Wandega, that we had all these stray dogs and we took them in. So
you used to pick stray dogs?
Yeah.
As a youngster?
As a young boy, you know, carry one home, convince.
They wouldn't bite you. You know, everybody sees a dog and they run.
Nature will never harm man. And no dog or animal will harm man as long as they are not threatened. And with associations like the Canine Association of Uganda, where we at least create programs for children to interact with dogs every month. We have shows where we invite the public to meet dogs, socialize. This enables
the friendship
and
to
the
grow
bond
between. But there are so many thousands, maybe even millions of dog bites every year around the world. Which even sometimes can be from rabid dogs. They could be transporting disease. So to a large extent, we grew up thinking a dog was dangerous and harmful. Are you saying that we didn't know how to submerge ourselves into nature and deal with these animals, especially the street dogs? They are not really, I don't know whether those are also man's best friend when they're on the street. The dogs which can be on the sofa at home and which you bathe with shampoo, maybe those are the ones you're referring to.
No, I'm referring to all dogs. Okay? A dog being lost on the street, it's not its fault. It's like a street child being on the street. That child is not harmful. He may be scabied and all. You've seen street children on the streets of Kampala. I wouldn't think that any more dangerous than a local dog on the streets or a dog in Kololo or Muyenga. The diseases that come with these dogs, such as rabies, can affect any dog as long as they don't have the right care. So with dogs, it doesn't matter whether exotic, local, they all are dogs and we love man equally.
There's a saying that it's a dog's world. We're now in the dog's world, okay? The Canine Association, I was checking your website. You deal with what you call pedigree dogs, maybe exotic dogs. I'm just wondering whether the local boys, the local street dogs are also welcome to join in this association. They're all canines.
Well, I'll first start with the word pedigree. Pedigree, basically we're looking at the genealogy.
Genealogy is the genetics.
Yes.
The genes.
The genes, or how many generations back can you trace a dog. Even our own local dogs that we call local have their own pedigree. Being local does not mean it doesn't have value. An African dog, or the small dogs that we call local or African, are actually working dogs that traditionally were hunters. Okay? It's now that we're bringing them into a more developed Kampala or city setting that the role changes. But these have been around for years. They're very strong dogs. They can run, they help hunters. So looking at a dog and thinking it's local or it's not a pedigree does not necessarily mean our local dogs do not fit within this category. Maybe also just to touch slightly onto that point, I'm going to give context of what the Canine Association is doing to try and standardize the African or local dog pedigree with the Ugandan context. There's been a huge demand for Maltese, the small white dogs. And that has led...
Those are from which country? They are what nationality, those ones?
The history goes back to Malta, close to about 1600 or before. And these were meant to be lap dogs or home dogs. But they've been bred and interbred across the years, that what you have in Uganda today is not okay, for the most part, it's not a pure Maltese. We have a joke that we call it a Uga Maltese because it's blended
Crossbreed.
with... Yes. And under the context of the Canine Association, we are trying to find a standard Maltese breed which meets the temperaments of our homes, our settings, and our communities. So this is one of the challenges or hopes that we have to create standards for the local breeds.
So you're breeding. Are you involved in breeding?
Personally, no, but we have members that breed across the country. And these are all also, you mentioned something, why isn't the Ministry of Agriculture bringing in canines into the space? And this is one of the things we are trying to engage with the Ministry of Agriculture to standardize breeding, registration, and documentation of dogs in Uganda.
This show deals with counterfeits. And one of the tests of a counterfeit product is that it is not produced in accordance with the law. If it is this product, it will be produced according to the law because it's a trademark. The design and everything is registered and allowed to be on the market. I was checking, in Uganda we have a law that the Animal Breeders Act 2001 that allows for breeding of several animals. But in there I saw camels, I saw donkeys, even fish make the list, livestock. I didn't see dogs. So are you guys dealing in a counterfeit business? Because the law does not support it.
The law does not support it, very true. And there is no law for breeding of dogs or cats for that matter as well. What the ministry or our understanding of the environment we're in is they've given breeding standards for consumable meats within the African context. That is camel meats, cows, chicken, fish.
So the Animal Breeders Act, you're saying, is only concerned with breeding for meat?
Currently, in our observation. And our mission currently is engaging with international communities, the FSI.
What is FSI? FCA.
FCI, sorry.
Federation of
Canine International. And this is to help us work with the ministries and other stakeholders, create standards that will basically help us remove the counterfeiting in dog breeding in Uganda. Because
so at the moment, I cannot get a genuine dog bred in Uganda because there are no standards. That's what you're saying.
You will find them under the Canine Association of Uganda because all our dogs under the association are documented right from the parent breeds. In this case, most are imported, and then bred locally. But the majority...
They are documented, but the standards, the specifications, the genetics which is allowed. Because you might be breeding dogs here which turn wild and bite people. You might be breeding dogs which are prone to disease. You might be... So you're saying that right now it's try and error? Or we are following some international standard? Or what are we doing?
The Canine Association is following international standards. And we've just concluded our 3rd National Dog Show, which brought in international judges from the FCI. And interestingly, one of the things they observed is the few breeders we have here so far have some of the highest quality dogs. You also have, you mentioned the police canine unit. It's also been breeding, but purely for law enforcement. And they have very good breeds. It's just that the numbers are very few. And the majority of Ugandans are not practicing any professional standards.
Do Ugandans care about animals, in your view?
I believe we do. I strongly believe we do.
But you see a lot of street dogs and dogs being knocked, and nobody really gives a care. Are we being authentic? Are we being human? Or we are also trying to counterfeit in that way?
I believe that is a challenge that is arising out of very fast development.
Without regulation?
Without regulation. In that, maybe every 100 meters, you'll see a sign for dogs for sale, which goes to make me believe that there is actually demand for dogs. There is our conceived interpretation of security, and everyone's looking for a dog in his compound for security at home rather than hiring an askari. I also believe that Ugandans trust dogs more than human beings, which is why almost every home has a dog called Simba. Every home has something they've locked up in a kennel, and what the association is saying, yes, we have acknowledged this trend happening. Can we now bring awareness to the standards we need to have these dogs being kept safe, teach you how to make them your best friend. It's a whole economy that is totally untapped. It's
waiting to grow.
Yeah.
People are looking at you and saying, okay, these dogs we see there, these are exotic dogs, they're out of range, they are not affordable. Can you give me a comparison of the price of these pedigree dogs compared to a cow, which most of us understand?
If we're to compare a calf, an Ankole cow calf, a Frisian calf, and a white shepherd puppy. A white shepherd puppy, I would estimate minimum 3.6 million on the local market. Minimum.
A local breed or exotic?
A purebred white German shepherd.
Doesn't matter where it was
raised.
Whether it's from Germany or here, it's
as long as it is purebred or a pedigree. The minimum, and I'm being very conservative with my numbers, would be $1,000.
So it can go even to, let's say, $10,000? More than $10,000?
Yeah.
One puppy,
if you
one
have
dog.
the right breed and documentation, even more than 10,000.
And a calf
of a Frisian, the last time.
cow.
Ankole cow in South Africa may fetch some money.
No,
locally I'm thinking about $300 or 1 million shillings on the high end.
So you are saying that you guys, the Canine Association, have made the dogs to be more expensive than the cows?
No, we have not made anything.
You have influenced the market and fixed it?
No, we have not influenced.
A cow which provides meat and is $1 million shillings, and the dog can even be $5,000.
You mentioned something earlier, man's best friend. Having a best friend next to you,
gives you security,
peace of mind, comfort.
You play with it.
Yeah,
because you can't play with a cow.
You won't. you'll probably hit it a bit and expect milk.
Or meat.
But the dog is your best friend. And the association is not influencing these rates.
It comes naturally.
Yeah.
I believe you're going to get so many dog lovers tonight who might just convert. But because we are discussing counterfeits, we're going to the next segment. And I'll be asking you, can dogs, which are used to provide security and do a lot of other things, I see them at airports, can we use dogs to fight counterfeits? Let's take a break. This is the second segment of the League of the Genuine Conversations. We are having a conversation here with a dog lover enthusiast. He's making me love dogs as well. Mr. Solomon Biakutaga. Of course, I've interfaced with dogs. And I asked you a question. Man worldwide is struggling to fight counterfeits. They are all over the place in trade, in medicines, in every industry. And my question to you was, can dogs help us to fight counterfeits? And as you answer that, tell us the different functions of a dog, which we may not know.
Thank you. Can dogs be used in the fight against counterfeits?
Yes.
Yes. The answer is yes. If you think of all the movies we watch with police dogs, they're sniffing out something for police. Or if you've been to our Entebbe airport, you'll see some bloodhound dogs kept in small cages, ready to sniff out drug traffickers, people carrying out narcotics, money. And this is because they know dogs will sniff out the minute smell unique in, let's say, drug or a counterfeit product.
So dogs are used to sniff counterfeits?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes. I think there is a clip you may see, and I will share it with the team, where dogs are used to sniff out counterfeit money at airports. Where dogs are used to sniff out a person with a lot of money. Those are two different things.
Counterfeit money, fake dollars, vis-a-vis too much money.
Yeah.
A dog can sniff.
It will sniff. If you've seen cases in, or if you've, and I'll share again with the team on some of these videos, big consignments of drugs are shipped in oil containers, all right? In hope of moving these counterfeit products across the borders. Dogs are able to pick out that scent. But this comes with training of the dog as well, and the breed. Not all dogs are for counterfeiting.
For the track and trace, for detection, for supporting police investigations. Because reports show that a lot of the, many cases, I saw a report, many cases, almost 1,000 of them, I think last year, they used dog evidence, if I can call it that, to get the convictions. The dog is the one that helps in the tracing.
Exactly.
So you're saying that dogs can actually help, if trained, to sniff a fake cosmetic, a fake detergent, maybe even a fake perfume. So why are we not using them to do that? Because a lot of the sniffing at the airport, the dogs are not sniffing out fake phones that are coming in. The phone just comes. Maybe they can't detect. There are some things that a dog will not sniff and detect.
I believe it comes down to prioritizing resources within the context of our law enforcement currently. As this is a new era, and I'm grateful that Uganda Police has put in a lot of effort in the canine department. But had it not been for such initiatives, we would not be where we are today in getting more dogs into the counterfeit or sniffing business.
Or crime prevention.
Or crime prevention. But coming back to what you just submitted, dogs can be trained. Dogs are being used for sniffing, though they have not yet been taken into the full role of playing into the counterfeiting industry, as it's a growing.
But you're saying with training, so suppose we do a partnership with the Canine Association and maybe target one product and say fake soap on the market. Can you just talk me through the process of training a dog to detect fake soap from genuine soap?
That starts right from the breed.
So what breed, first of all, do I need?
Again, you're going to choose from a range of breeds. Number one, you have like the bloodhounds, the Beagles, depending on what exactly you want to.
So which one can we use for fighting counterfeits? Which breed do you think from those you know?
I would think a Beagle as a personal interest.
A big?
A Beagle.
A Beagle.
Yes, I'll share.
The ones we see at the airport.
There's one at least I've seen.
Beagle.
Yes. Okay. I'll share a photo with you. It's a very lovely dog, long ears. I believe.
So like you put it in class, it sits there and you start teaching it ABCD, or what do you do? Just make us understand.
So let's say the first 6 months, this dog is merely meeting people. It's walking around, let's say, the streets, becoming social, understanding its environment.
Okay.
All right?
That's the first step.
That's the first
Let's
step.
say that's nursery.
Nursery for every dog that I would recommend.
Mix the dog with people around. Okay.
Let them walk all over Kampala so that when it's walking, it doesn't get scared and get knocked down. Actually, you might notice our local dogs have a higher survival rate on the streets than many house dogs, because the house dog will come out and
it's not used.
So the very first step is the 6 months of socializing, getting a dog to understand what the different items around its setting are. Then you get into specialist training. What are you trying to get that dog to sniff
Here
out?
we are using soap.
Yeah.
So what do I do? Do I first make it sniff for 1 week, the genuine soap? Then later I bring the fake? How do I do it?
So you have to first, as you're training it, you're giving it, what's the word? You're encouraging it or praising it each time it gives you a positive result of what you want. Say you want this cup to be sniffed out, all right? Each time the dog comes, sniffs this dog, you tap him.
You pat it.
Yeah, tell him thank you. He gets confident.
And then it comes to sniff this one, and you
first maintain what it will know. Then introduce.
Okay. First maintain the genuine soap.
Yes.
Let it sniff, get used to the smell, and pat it on the back and make it get used.
Yes.
For how long does it get used to this smell of the genuine soap?
Again, this will vary from breed to breed.
A week, a month?
I would say a month.
A month.
For whatever substance you're looking at. It doesn't have to be on the soap.
No, let's use soap.
Okay,
now.
soap. So 1 month you've patted it, you've found the soap I want. Second month, introduce the second
soap.
Substance of soap.
So let me get this is the second bar of soap. Let's say I have put in something. I don't know which is the counterfeiters commonly use that substance. So I put it to the dog. And now how do I make it to know that this is bad?
So once it now sniffs out, remember it may pick out the initial scent of
the clean soap.
Yes. We haven't taught it the negative component yet.
Yeah.
So if it comes and you basically encourage it and say, or discourage it from going to that particular.
How? So like I bring the soap and take it away?
No. Let's say we have 2 boxes. We cover the soaps under those boxes. Day 1 has come and sniffed out our right soap.
Okay.
You've patted it. Day 2 it has come and picked out what you don't want. You also guessed and said, no, that's not what I want.
So like you gesture to it, look at it in the face and say, no. What do you do? Or is there a way maybe you stroke it to say, I don't approve? So that it will know that was a bad.
The moves, like I've said, strokes. And every trainer has his own strokes or methods. But what a dog will work with best is that thank you or gratification for delivering to its master the delivered service. Now, gradually you keep introducing different substances.
So it is still through, it's a social aspect for it to pick this habit or
Yes.
this trait.
Yes.
It still has to be done through socializing.
It is a lot of socializing.
And at some point then you will understand that this dog has mastered the art.
Exactly.
And that's when you now, let's say, release it to UNBS and say that I'm putting this dog at the point of entry. If it's an imported product, the dog will be with customs.
Yes.
It will always sniff the consignment. Once you verified for the taxes and so on, the dog sniffs to see if, for example, it's a cosmetic, if it has, let's say, mercury.
Exactly.
Very interesting. And why are we not doing this? Is it because of the cost? Because I was reading that the police canine section was asking for 750 dogs at a cost of 4.9 billion. Can you calculate there the cost of each dog?
If I may
4.9 billion shillings,
just
which is about 1 point.
Right by 7.
Divide. Can you do the maths there?
$1,600.
Each dog will be $1,600, about almost 6 million shillings. Now, is the reason, for example, why UNBS and customs don't use dogs to trace fake imports or even going to a factory that manufactures to sniff everything that comes? Don't you think it's down to the cost? That's bloody expensive. What would it cost to train 750 policemen, new recruits, to guard the city and check around? So the cost, comment on the cost.
So at $1,600 a dog.
Trained, this is trained already.
Yeah, trained. That's approximately 5 million Uganda shillings
Yes.
for law enforcement work. Okay? Which I feel to be so little vis-a-vis the cost of training one policeman. One policeman, cadet school, 1 year, government has spent minimum 20 million. So if I'm to compare the cost of one dog for law enforcement purposes.
But the policeman can eat portion beans. The dog has to eat meat
Not
every day.
necessarily, I'm still answering your question. You have the cost of training that dog. 2, the effect or the benefits that arise out of training that dog in the counterfeit context. How many people will you save? There is this story which has been going around of the contraceptives that are killing women. Okay? So if I've trained my 10 dogs or 750 dogs to keep these counterfeits out, I would have saved, yes, we've spent 1.2 million, but would have saved over 500 Ugandans.
And the overall statistic on crime prevention, and because dogs are not corrupt, do dogs take bribes?
No, they can't. The moment a dog is trained and it's brought to standards, it will never take a bribe. All it needs is its master to be...
Its loyalty cannot be questioned.
No.
That's what you're saying.
No.
So, can you pitch, Director, Uganda Canine Association, pitch to URA, pitch to Uganda Police, pitch to NDA, pitch to all the regulators on how they can use dogs to perform their duties, but most importantly for us, to fight fakes in their sectors? Make a case. It's a free advert for Canine Association.
On behalf of the Canine Association of Uganda, my plea to all government sectors and the country and population at large is to consider standardization of breeding of pedigree dogs, maintaining standards of breeding, socializing, and training, and with more focus in the counterfeiting or securing the counterfeiting with interest of protecting the products we bring in the country.
Because counterfeits are killing us. They are everywhere. Next segment, we shall talk about counterfeits in the dog industry. But what you are saying that they can, in addition to other security measures, in addition to other enforcement measures, in addition to other track and trace measures, the dog, man's best friend, can help us to fight. Whether it's a fake import, anything.
I say it will. It not may. It will definitely help fight counterfeit.
So a day will come when dogs will be in Chikubo sniffing all these products and the traders who are fake will be running.
I hope so, and I pray so.
But I can hear some of the people listening to you saying, but 4.9 billion is too much. Why don't you just train our local street dogs here, the local breed, and we don't spend so much? How do you answer to that?
We can get there by, one, understanding what our local dogs are. Our local dogs are working dogs. They're hunters. They're small, resistant to drugs. They can run hundreds of a couple of kilometers without getting tired. What I would think is working along our genetic professionals in country, our vets, to find the perfect match between our local dogs and foreign dogs, come up with a unique breed that is fit for our environment. You have seen this in South Africa, where they have the Rhodesian Ridgeback. It's a working dog. It looks like a local dog, but it's also bred out of local African dog and foreign dogs. You have the Boobel. It's not more of a working dog, but South African, and it's also been bred to cater for security in homes. So I strongly believe...
So the problem is that the local dogs, we have not only have we not done the standardization, we don't even have a register maybe for the dogs. So we don't know the functionality and capabilities yet. Yet these are the bred dogs, the foreign dogs, you can standardize and say, I want a dog for this. And that you'll be able to get in the market.
Exactly.
So you're saying the first step in tapping into our local dog collection is to do standardization.
Yes, sir.
And the introduction of these foreign dogs or pedigree dogs is helping us to have a right mix.
Yes.
We're going to take a break and you will come back and tell us if the dog industry has a counterfeit problem. This is the third and final segment. We are discussing dogs and counterfeits. Can you imagine? I have just learned here that actually dogs are instrumental in fighting counterfeits. How about if we start using the dog at home to check anything that maid or whoever brings in food, to check if it is genuine? But I'm told it takes a lot of training and specialization. Is there a problem? Because we humans, we do shopping, we buy, we sell fakes. Dogs don't shop. Does the dog industry have a counterfeit problem?
Thank you, Fred, again. The dog industry is suffering with counterfeits. A huge problem with the food. Too many fake pellets on the market.
Pellets are what?
Pellets are these dry packed foods for dogs.
Made of what?
Every supplier has their own
But what are the normal ingredients?
Well, it should be a concentration of protein, carbohydrates, and starch in that small pallet. But with what's happening in all food industries, why people are importing foods from Asia without knowing what's in there, I do not know. Our local entrepreneurs are producing a lot of fake food.
So this fake food is what? The ingredient is chicken, is what? Snail is what? No,
There's
the protein,
not one.
What's the source of protein? So I want to trace the counterfeit. Is
that's
it in the meat? Is it?
It's such a huge problem that it's not just one sector.
No, I'm saying this pallet, when you say it contains protein and starch,
Yes.
now I break it down. What, the protein comes out of what? You tell me either it is fish or beans or what? It comes from
The
what?
protein is fish, beef.
So is the fish, beef fake when it is put in the pellet, or what happens?
So you have issues of
Aflatoxins.
right? That's one of the biggest.
That is in the starch now. If you're
Then
going to
you
put
have-
maize bran or something.
Then you have fake storage for the meats. The dogs we keep or we wish to have would ideally want to eat fresh meat. These are animals that we used to hunt and eat. But if you get meat and store it in a very unsafe environment, then come and mix it with others to make a pellet.
But just help me understand this. The dogs which eat in the dustbin and on the street, can you relate with those dogs? You're talking of dogs which eat packed food on a plate. And then somebody will say, but come on, dogs will eat anything.
The dog you see at a dustbin
Those ones which we
is
see.
hungry. It's like a street child looking for food.
Ah, okay.
A dog that is kept home, that has its master saying, let me go out and buy the best food for this dog, is the one being faked with counterfeits. Yet we have very good butchers, we have very good organic foods for our dogs that we do not even need to buy pellets. And that might not be the best thing for the entrepreneurs to hear, but the issue of counterfeit in the dog food industry is such a challenge that so many dogs
No,
are.
but there is a lot of, in the abattoirs, you can get dog food.
Yeah.
There are parts which are cut for dog food. Maybe they're expensive.
No, actually, interestingly, a kilo from the abattoir is about, ideal for a dog, is 2,000 shillings, 2,500.
It's made of what? Hooves and horns and...
bones, leftover meats. But you are 100% sure that it is fresh and ideal for the dog. Where you have a bigger challenge is the people packaging their own foods without the right licensing, the right standards. And that's what's causing many of the dog owners to come up and say it's very expensive to look after a dog. But in reality, the cost of feeding a dog is not that high, if you know.
So what has the Canine Association done about it? Apart from organizing dog shows, I don't even know whether that doesn't violate the rights of a dog. A dog is not supposed to dance or to do all these things. You take them for shows and I don't know. But that's
I'll get into the show.
What is the Canine Association doing
So we work alongside
to get safe food for the dogs?
We'll work. I'll just pull up one of the members that we work with, who basically keep up to date with what's happening in the food industry for the dogs. Just give me a second. So we do, as an association, communicate whenever there is anything out there that is alarming, or if we've noticed a particular brand that's having issues. And this
You give an alert.
we give an alert to the members.
Do you name and shame and say,
Oh,
don't
yes.
buy from
Yes.
this guy?
We have
Because
had-
one of the biggest issues of fighting counterfeits is we don't even know where to buy from.
So I don't know whether I'll get I'll just show you, I'll share with you one of the best food providers. Actually, sorry, I keep forgetting how to pronounce
In
this.
Uganda here.
Yes.
So you're telling our viewers a recommended
I'll share
food
with
vendor.
You, I will share with you a flyer of the food vendors the Canine Association recommends, because we have worked with these people and we keep up to date with the foods.
And you audit what they do.
We do at least the best we can. And if we look into the cosmetics the dogs use,
Cosmetics are also,
Oh,
first
yeah.
of all, dogs use cosmetics. I've not seen a dog with lipstick or something.
it may not be lipstick, but the shampoos we use, they're perfumed so that your dog smells well. Okay? But in that industry, just like the cosmetic industry, you have a lot of fakes.
So there is fake shampoo.
Fake shampoo. So you wash your dog, next thing you see the hair is falling all over, yet the dog's coat should be well kept. You have fake vaccines. Too many fake veterinary doctors or unlicensed vet doctors.
There are also fake doctors for the
They are
dogs.
quack doctors. People who, maybe because he can walk a dog, he promotes
He becomes a
himself
doctor.
a vet. So this has dogged the industry tremendously and discouraged so many people from getting dogs.
Is this counterfeiting in the dog industry having any negative impact on the growth of the pedigree dogs in the country? Are we having mortalities? Are we having dogs getting injured? Or it is just a minor thing, the hair falls off, but the dog is okay?
No, it's much more than that. It hasn't been heavily reported in the country yet, but the crossbreeding of dogs with different temperaments is the first line we need to fight as a country.
So there is counterfeiting in the breeding of the dogs?
Yes.
But how is that counterfeit? Because they breed in a natural way.
Breeding in
dogs, do dogs have issues of same-sex issues like we human beings?
No.
For them, they are still going there.
They are fortunately still sticking to nature, but where man has made some mistakes in the breeding is getting a working dog and blending it with, let's say, Maltese. I'll give an example of one of the best dogs, working dogs. That's a Belgian Malinois. It's an army
And when
dog.
you say working, what does it mean?
Working, its job is to be out there working, doing military work.
So does it do
hunting.
security, active dog?
Active.
Okay, that's a work. And then a Maltese stays in the house.
It's more of a home dog. It's supposed to be relaxed. It's not supposed to be aggressive.
So when you mix the working dog and the Maltese,
You're going to get something else.
you get a what now? It becomes mild, it has tempers,
Yeah.
and then it cools.
Now imagine you've gotten a mix, and I'm using extreme examples. You get a very high-end, and I use the Belgian Malinois as a highest ranked
Working dog.
And the Maltese, which is more relaxed. If you mix the two and expect the puppy to be your child's best friend or stay at home, it may
It will
not be
bite.
the case. Because
No, but humans can mix. You get a hot-tempered guy with a cool lady. You get something in the middle there. What is wrong with crossbreeding?
What is the problem there is who the vet or the people that are going to keep this dog may not be aware of the temperamental issues that arise. So if that dog is now meant to keep your child but has traits of a hunter, it could easily maul your dog. And we've seen this happen in so many cases with the pit bulls.
The dog with that.
Yeah.
Okay, some people say it's ugly. Do you
I
have
love
ugly
it.
dogs?
No, these are mastiffs. They are meant to fight. They're fighting dogs.
There's that dog with a very big mouth. And
Do
do you have ugly dogs in the dog industry?
No, they're not.
They're all
dogs.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you get a fighting dog to be your caretaker at home for your kid,
Or you keep a Maltese outside to keep the gate.
the gate.
The poor thing will die.
exactly. So the breeding for the right type of dog must be maintained or studied before these dogs are released into communities. You have
You are still talking about the counterfeits
counterfeiting.
in the dog industry.
So one of the methods that have been used to try and track the breeds is by chipping these dogs.
They wear something, a chip.
Implant. It's a small chip that's implanted into the skin and can be scanned with a small scanner. And these dogs are tracked genealogically from wherever they came from. So right now I think the biggest in South Africa is the South African registry, and that's where many of our dogs come from in the country. In Uganda, you have a few people picking up on the chipping of dogs, but it's also coming with a lot of fraud. Right from
There are counterfeit chips also?
Oh yes. Counterfeit chips, counterfeit handlers of this machinery.
Tags, I think they're tags.
It's an industry that the counterfeiting industry of chips and tracking dogs is, in my estimate in this country, upward of $500,000 a year in losses.
To the dog owner.
Yeah.
And on those fake chips cause health issues to the dog if you implant something fake.
So it does affect the dogs. It can trigger anything from hypertension to high blood pressure to leaks within the
Dogs get high blood pressure?
Yes, they do. That's why they go to a vet to keep check. So
Wow.
the maintenance of dogs, much as it may seem expensive, is actually something of concern to Ugandans, because we may see dogs thinking they're cheap with something else. We do not know how it affects the dog's psyche.
The dogs. But now, we've been in the dogs world today, but I forgot even that you're a forensic analyst.
Yes.
Can you just paint a picture a bit on, as a forensic expert, counterfeits in that world of the fraud, document fraud, and so on? Just highlight a bit. Is it a problem, big one we have there?
It's unfortunately.
And how does it manifest?
It's a huge problem, and I'm going to give you a scenario that happened a few years back. One of our government institutions published our voters registry.
National Voters Register.
Yeah, for verification. Okay? And in doing that, a layman like Solomon can pick Mr. Mwema's name, date of birth, village, which creates the foundation of any identity to commit a crime or a counterfeit business. And in that, I believe anyone that has featured on that list becomes prone to becoming a victim of counterfeiting across.
So are you saying that the voter register has some counterfeit, some fakes in there?
I'm not saying the voter register has counterfeit. The information provided gives room.
The content is manipulated and can be faked.
It can create, it has created a foundation for counterfeiting right from the national ID all the way into banking.
Bank cards, passport, driver's license, birth certificate, land titles,
Yes.
everything.
Everything. So it's a general area that needs a lot of...
So as a forensic expert, analyst, you're just sitting there enjoying the money, you're not saving us from these fakes. Is that a statement you can allow to sit with you?
No. It's, again, something I mentioned earlier. We are in a process of development. We are adopting so many things, and awareness is one of the things we are constantly doing with the police, with the different civil groups, and personally with canines, because I have a huge love for canines. So the registration right from the start. Can we get the registration, the breeding, tracking of these animals?
Yeah, so on the forensics part, what can we do as a country or as a continent to stop these frauds in the documentation and certification of things?
There have been efforts already in the pipeline, and fortunately you've also, with anti-counterfeiting network, created this movement to bring people together. And I believe for the next few years a lot of sensitization has to go on before we get to where we need to be. As a country, we did a study. We needed up to 3,000 human resources to manage Uganda.
What, forensic experts?
Yes. The last count we did were maybe, that's a few years ago, about 100, 200. So
how many forensic experts are you in Uganda?
I know not more than 100. So the gap of the human resources vis-a-vis the demand
is too big.
It's too big for us.
But what I'm hearing also as we close is that forensic analysts actually are doing a big job to stop faking and counterfeiting. That's what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
And therefore we need you in our track and traceability system. If it is to be developed, we work with experts like you.
Exactly.
Before I end, I made some comment maybe which didn't go down well about the dog shows. And I don't want to let you go without explaining this dog show and whether it's okay and so on. Should we look forward to the next dog show? What does it serve?
So we have under the association or different groups that subscribe to the Canine Association, we have awareness programs. So when we talk of dog shows, we're bringing these different breeds to, one, get the masses to understand what these animals are.
Okay.
What are the different temperaments? What kind of breed do you need at home? What kind of breed do you need at the farm? What do you need at office? These are all different animals with different temperaments.
So the dog show is basically to come and learn
Yes.
about the dog.
Yes.
But then there are these shows like the goat show, where the goats are running around. Do you have shows like that also?
No, not yet. Oh, and why I said not yet?
Or dog races. The goat races and dog races
are two different things. So what we have currently is children programs where we encourage people with their children first come and socialize with dogs and understand whether they can live with dogs. Not every person should just get a puppy and take it to the child and say happy birthday. No. First get the child to socialize with the dog. Can they understand this dog? So those are regular. Then periodically we have the national dog shows where the different breeders across the country come and show the animals they have.
So that's the dog show. It's not a dog race. I had
No,
a race, the
no.
goat race in mind.
No, it's a show.
Oh, it's a show. Okay.
People coming and showing the different
Family
breeds.
events and
Exactly.
experience. Okay, the way you have described as we close, the dogs are quite valuable. Okay, I'll refer to them as an asset. And counterfeiting involves stealing of something valuable. Do we have cases of stealing of dogs?
Yes, unfortunately. We have a high rate
Of stealing dogs?
of theft of dogs. Especially
But it would make noise as you're stealing. And remember, it's trained. How does somebody, a stranger, come to it?
There are so many different ways of wooing a dog. And it comes down to the motive of
The thief.
the thief. You have, like I mentioned, these quack vets doctors. They understand the basics of subduing a dog. He could either tranquilize it or him understanding the behavior.
So they steal it and take it where? On the market, if it is chipped, won't it be found?
No. So the chips are RFID, which means you have to be very close to the dog to track
read.
it, to read it. It is very unlikely in this country we have a GPS dog tracked. Okay. 2, where do they take these dogs? If you do an internet search, puppy scams are one of the biggest thriving industries.
Puppy scams, meaning I'm selling you a puppy, but I'm not.
I'm selling you a puppy, but I'm not. Or deliver money here for your puppy to be delivered.
Ransoms are being paid.
Ransoms are being paid left, right, and center.
Are they like killing them for organs?
No. If that may, some may do it for food in some sectors, but I believe that
The common thing is to raise money using the dog.
Exactly.
And to
Steal the
steal.
dog, put it in a cage, and let it breed.
Mr. Solomon, thank you so much for educating us about counterfeits in dogs and how we can use them. We are closing now.
Thank you.
Every good thing comes to an end. We would like you to give your parting shot to the viewers. Anything you want to talk with a conclusion on counterfeits?
Mine's a very brief one. Is to encourage all Ugandans to consider having 1 or 2 well-bred dogs. 2, look at these animals as your best friends. They will not only save you in terms of attack or give you companionship, but it will also give you, in the context of counterfeiting, if it's well trained, it will save you from picking out some fakes products. And last but not least, on behalf of the Canine Association of Uganda, I would really wish to invite everyone to come to our next shows, which I will share dates with, and let's learn more about these dogs and what they can do for us. Thank you so much.
That has been Mr. Solomon Byakutaga Mogisa, a member of the Canine Association of Uganda, the Dog Association. I don't know why you don't say the Dog Association. We know them as dogs, but it's Canine Association of Uganda. It's an association that is promoting the breeding of pedigree dogs, dogs that you can be able to use in specialized ways. A dog is not just a dog. I have just learned now that you can actually have dogs specialized in doing something that will function either for security or just as a pet at home. We've also learned about the counterfeits that are afflicting the dog industry. As we've always told you, the counterfeit problem is a big problem, and it affects every aspect of human life. So if you thought this was not an important subject and you're a dog lover, it is time to stand up and pay attention and fight the scourge of counterfeits. And lastly, we've heard that dogs can actually be used to help with training, be used to help in the tracing and tracking of counterfeits. If you're new here, this is the only show on the planet where we discuss the important but often ignored subject of counterfeits. We thank you for making a date with us every Friday evening. And if you like what we are doing, you can share, you can like, give us a thumbs up, and put that notification to know when the next episode is. And most importantly, please do subscribe to our program. We would like to end here by asking you not to be fake, to buy and sell genuine always.